Hello, everybody. This is Julissa. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming back to my channel. Thank you so much to everybody who's listening right now in the podcast. It is Saturday, September the 20th, 2025, guys. I believe my last episode was done on September 2nd. And as somebody who records the podcast basically every day, it's been very long since I come here and spoken with you. But I wanted to speak to you guys about everything that has been happening in my experience at New York Fashion Week. Before I continue, I want to say thank you so much to everybody who has been subscribing to the channel and everybody who is listening and following the podcast on Spotify. Thank you so much for doing so. Don't forget to do that. And everybody who has been listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, thank you guys so much for doing that and also following the podcast. Okay. So something definitely has changed in our Christian community, and it has changed in our. I think it's so evident the change. It's just crazy, guys. As I was making my way to New York City last week, I believe Wednesday, I began to get notifications on my phone about what happened to Kirk, and I was like, what is going on, right? And then I'm gonna be completely honest here. I really didn't know, his work. Okay, I saw this breaking news and everything just being presented to everybody, right? And I was like, let me find out who he is, right? As I'm getting to New York City, you guys know that I was presenting during New York Fashion Week, right? And that's why one of the reasons why I haven't done a podcast. So I was like, let me see what's going on, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, he's a Christian who speaks about boldly. He speaks boldly about Jesus Christ and all of that. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then you go on TikTok, right? We go into our social media platforms, and then the video is just posted out there for everybody to see. And that was very shocking, right? How everything came out like that. It was very shocking, very graphic. It's a tremendous loss, and it's just crazy. But you know, I feel like it's even hard to kind of like explain it, and I think a lot of us can agree with this. Something changed in our communities, in the Christian community, changed with what happened with Charlie Kirk. Definitely, has changed so much already. It's been just like about a week and a half. It has changed so much already about the media and how people speak. And I have found myself, and that's why I'm like, let me not speak about it yet. One, because I wasn't familiar with his work, right? And two, I found myself like, I'm telling you about this change that happened, and to see the opinions of people regarding what happened to this man, right? And how easily we're so quick to make this dividing line without what you believe that, and I believe this, and I don't agree with what he said here, but I agree with all the stuff that he said. And I was like, is this the beginning of the great divide? Like, what is going on? And I found myself kind of like, I would come and be like, let me just talk about it. And then I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. I don't even want to speak about it. I don't want to speak about anything that's happening. And then I'm like, is this about, I'm being kind of like resistant to speak about it, like I said, after recording like basically every day? Or is it because I'm concerned about what people might think, right? Because now you have to be, um, we're so, the great divide has begun. I don't even know how to describe it. I know a lot of us feel it. The great divide has begun. So if you say just one thing, one little thing that might be like, people are putting their ears up, right? And they're like just watching, like, what did you say? Is that okay? You're like, we're dumb. We don't want to even listen to you. We're dumb. and then you get called, you're a fake one, this and the other, right? So I was like, I don't want to be that person that has this type of, you know, um, not resistance, but hesitation. I'm like, I don't want to speak about it because I'm so concerned. Because you know what, when I do this podcast and I know I speak about a lot of things that are happening in the world and breaking news and things that are affecting, I guess, the Christian community, especially with like ministries falling apart, things like this, right? You guys know if you've been listening to me for a while. I usually pray about it and I kind of like do it just to kind of like share my opinion, but what has been happening to with big companies, as you guys know, there's no need to even say it, that it's just there's an attack on just having your opinion for something, and there's an attack, and then there's also the great divide that has begun among Christians. It's so evident, it's so real, guys. That's why I'm like, I don't know. And then you need to also understand that I've been working on this project for New York Fashion Week, the collection. As you guys know, I mention it a lot. And if you follow me on Instagram, you guys know that I do post a lot of stuff when I'm sewing, when I'm fabric shopping, all of this stuff. So there's a sense of loss that happened to a person that has been working on a project for a long time, right? And even when I got to New York and it was just so busy and like always, right? It was just so busy and so crazy. I was like, oh, at one moment, I'm like, I can't wait to get this thing done, right? And in case you didn't know, um, I am a fashion designer and all of that, and I try to share the gospel with my clothing, as you guys know it. But fashion shows are really not my thing at all. Like loud music, chaos, bunch of people like everywhere. It's almost like those things that you do because it goes with kind of like what you are called to do, but it's not really your thing, right? So I was like, at one moment, I'm like, I just can't wait to get it over with. And then in that instant, I'm like, let me be grateful that I'm here, that I get to do this, and also that tomorrow is gonna be just done. Like it's gonna be done like that. Like you work on a collection for so long, and then in 10 minutes it's basically done. The presentation is basically done, right? When it comes to that, but just getting to the venue, prepping the clothing, getting to the venue, and just prepping, doing the extra work at the venue, and dealing with all of that can get a little overwhelming, right? And this is not something that I do every day, obviously. But what I was saying about the sense of loss is that you give so much of your work to this project, and that's all you've been concentrating yourself in, and then you come home after that and you're like, wait a second, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing something. Like there's a zipper somewhere that I have to be adding to something. And then now it's completed. The collection has been done. The fashion show has been completed. The photos are coming in. The videos are coming in. And then I found myself kind of like, okay, so let me, focus on the podcast for now. But with everything that happened, I feel like the change that happened last week is just is so evident, guys. It's even like hard. You can see it if you go even like church websites and YouTube channel. You can see the change, and then you go on TikTok, right? And just people just putting out their opinions about everything that happened, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody's free to give their opinion and their thoughts about what happened, right? But I feel like we're so quick to speak. That's why I'm like, let me restrain myself. And I'm like, well, I can say this, but I'm like, I don't even really know his work that much. Just looking at Charlie as a young guy, as a dad and father, husband, who was basically killed like that in front of so many people. And not even thinking like, did he said this, did he said the other, was this, that. And just looking at him as a human being, I was like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that happened to somebody, right? And I feel though people that has been coming out and speaking about what happened to him are forgetting. They're looking at what he believed, they're looking at what he stood for, they're looking at what he said this day, what he said the other, and just focusing on that and taking away the human side of who he was, right? The child of God that he was, right? Um and we need to remember that, right? And also looking at him like that without anything, that he had done, and all the, the followers that he had, and everything that he stood for, and all of that stuff. Looking at him like that is so important in this moment, because also we cannot get ourselves into this line of idol worshiping. Also, that's so dangerous, right? So all of that stuff, and I'm like, I don't even want to speak about it because of all of that, right? And dealing with this kind of like, oh, my whole presentation is over, so now what am I doing? What am I doing next, right? So it's just crazy. It's kind of like I found myself like, there's something definitely. You can feel it in the air. There's something going on, right? So when you find yourself that you don't even know like what direction to go at the moment, right? What do we do as Christians? We pray about it, and we ask God for direction, for wisdom, clarity, and to give us the right words to say the right things, right? But when it comes to when it comes to like the persecution of the church, that's so evident. I feel like that also has begun and is becoming more evident more and more here, in the US. And I feel like people that are publicly standing up for the Lord, they're definitely gonna be persecuted. That's just, it's biblical. I mean, if it happened to Jesus, if it happened to the disciples, what do we think would do? Nothing's gonna happen, right? So it's just, we'll see, right? We'll see in the next coming weeks what's happening. And also, the other thing that I'm sorry, I'm just, you can see I'm a little kind of like up in the air, just thinking about everything that has been happening. The other thing is, it's so important, speaking from a designer point of view, in the whole mission that I have of using my gifts and talents to glorify the Lord, right? And like I told you guys, fashion shows, they're not really like my thing. Sometimes I do look forward to them. I like doing them, but then when I get to the places, I'm like, what am I thinking? And I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm just gonna deal with it. But it is a lot of work, right? You cannot deal with this prepping of the collection for months, and then you get to the fashion show and you do like the whole work extra because you're doing fittings. It's very loud. It's a lot of people. Indeed, where I was, it was very hot, right? There was no circulation. There was no space for anything, and it was just chaotic. Okay. Probably one of the hardest show I ever done in this collection that I did. I think I put it a lot on my Instagram. It's definitely the most the hardest collection. I don't even have a name for it. Normally, when I even do my sketches, I have a name for the collection. Sometimes I do name the dresses and all of that. This is the collection where I definitely faced the most spiritual warfare yet, and the hardest collection to do because there's so many things that I can come and share. I don't think I'm ready to share everything that happened. There's still stuff that's still happening that I see, but at the same time, with all the bad things that are happening, let us not forget, guys. This is just us getting closer to the second coming of the Lord. And, sometimes we focus so much on all the bad stuff that's happening. You need to remember that God is your provider. God is faithful, right? God cares for you. So, let us not forget about that. And I was like, so this is the thing what happened. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened in New York with me. So I think I signed up for this event all the way in March. I didn't know what the collection was gonna be. I haven't bought any fabric there, nothing like that. So it was probably out of all the shows I've done, especially in New York City, since I've been doing for 5 years now. This is the show that I selected to do all the way in March. It's the earliest show I ever signed up for, the earliest one, and the collection that I done. But it has been the most difficult collection, like I told you, and it was the kind of like one of the most hard experience ever over there, because just getting there, right? Well, getting to the venue was crazy. I was running already late. I never expected to hit traffic so badly. From the hotel to the venue, it was just crazy. And I was already so nervous. I'm like, oh, this is just not good, because, I have all these garments that have the steam. I need time to do fittings. I didn't know who the models were going to be, nothing like that. And then I get to the venue, right? And guess what happens to me, right? It's just the first thing that I was told the minute I got to the venue. I I got to the venue, to the lobby, and there was a woman coming out, and I don't forget her name now, but she just started talking to me, and she said, "I'm leaving." And I said, what do you mean you leave? What's going on? She said, "They're overcrowded. You can hear the music from all of that. They're overcrowded. There is no AC." And she was just completely sweating a lot, right? And she's like, "I can't, there's no circulation there." And then I'm like, "Oh my goodness." I said, I introduced myself. I said, "I'm a designer. I'm here. I just get here. The show that I'm doing is later." And she's like, there's no, they're kicking people out. They're overcrowded. There's no circulation. She's just telling me exactly everything that's happening over there. And I'm thinking in that moment to myself, like, I'm supposed to go there. Like, oh no, this is crazy. And then I'm like carrying a suitcase, carrying the garment bag. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. And she said, and then I noticed the elevator is not working. Of course not, right? And then she's like, "I can help you bring the stuff upstairs, and then I'll leave." But she looks so tired, and like I told you, she was just sweating a lot. I'm like, this woman needs to go out and like get some fresh air and like, you know, probably rest for a little bit. And I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with it." The minute I get to the entrance of the place, I'm told by security that the place is about to get shut down, the whole event, and I need to go home because they're not letting anybody in anymore. And I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, he's like, this man shut the door in my face, and he said that nobody's coming in. We're overcrowded, and we are about to get shut down. I was like, in that moment, if it was, excuse me, it would have been Julissa 5 years ago, would have been crying and saying, "I'm leaving. These people are crazy. They told me to leave. They shut the door in my face, and I cannot believe this is happening." But because this is not my first show, and because I already knew the collection had created so much spiritual warfare in my life, I was like, man, this collection is just somebody's gonna change just by looking at it, because of everything that has been happening to me, because of the that this is where I'm heading. Because as you guys know, and people can have their opinion about what I'm saying, right? But because a lot of people always minimize everything that you do. They're like, "You little thing that you do, your little garments, your little thing that your little business," right? All I know is what I know, what I've been called to do, and how I see things happening, and how I'll see changes in people that I meet, especially at the shows, right? And how suddenly you see their content completely change afterwards, and you can see how it has helped them, because they even come and talk to you about it, and they send I got reached out a lot from photographers and models too that were at the show last week with me. So I know that God has a purpose for it, right? And I was like, this collection is gonna fight. The enemy is gonna fight this thing all the way to the fashion show, right? I was like, wow, this is crazy. Look at this. That has never ever happened to me. If anything, when I show up to shows, I'm basically greeted in the lobby with somebody who's gonna help me carry everything out. Basically, the assistants, the volunteers, helper. I never usually see him when I do the shows. They always have people doing that. Hair and makeup will come and talk to me, and then they'll do my models for me and all of that. So it was a different type of thing, right? But I knew, because of everything that I seen happen with the collection, I knew that it's a special one. I should probably just name it the special one. The spring and summer 2026 collection. It's called the uh, the special one. I'm just joking. I probably won't name it that, but it's just everything that happened, right? But eventually, I'm gonna cut the story short here because I'm running out of memory here very soon. So I probably will do a second video, or I'll continue. Give me one more. So after I get to the venue, and eventually I'm calling people, I'm calling production, I'm outside, I was told to just leave. And they're like, we're almost done with this previous show, just give us time. And then the security comes and he's like, you can't even be on the stairs, you gotta go out of the building. And he closed the door again on me. It's so crazy how it's so great that it's you grow right in life. Because Julissa 5 years ago would have been crying, be like calling an Uber, going outside, getting a taxi, and be like, I'm out of here. These people don't want me. But it was some almost kind of like comical. It was like crazy that it was happening. It was almost like, wow, the enemy is trying everything, right? Who is waiting for this collection, right? Who is just gonna return back to God or find the Lord, right? Just by kind of like hearing what I do or even seeing what I'm all about, things like that. So he shuts the door. I stay in the lobby, and then people are coming up, and they're being told to leave. Also, like happened to me. And then somebody sees me, and she's like, I'm talking to her. She's like, "What? You're here outside?" She's like, "No." And then I don't know what happened. She goes inside, and then she speaks with somebody, and then the security guy comes out again, and I saw like a few people leaving already because the show had ended. I said, "You see, I have to be there." And then he's like, "Okay, come on in," right? Whatever, he's changed. So I get there, very chaotic, all of that stuff. I can feel the heat from like there's no circulation. It's very hot. The AC wasn't enough for everybody that was there. But I gotta do my thing, and then I basically meet everybody on production, right? They come and introduce themselves and all of that, and then we begin the fitting process, right? Thanks be to God, right? That once again, I'm able to kind of like find models that get the vision immediately. I don't have to convince anybody. Nobody's uncomfortable wearing a dress or a outfit that says "Glory to God," nothing like that. I don't have to tell them or say, if you're uncomfortable, you can, I can get another model to do the walk for me, this and that. But another thing happened, right? That to this day, I'm like, oh, I cannot believe that actually happened to me. So as we're getting like situated in the back room, right? Trying to get started, they give us the time when the show is gonna start, and I'm like, okay, I need to set the garment bags down. I need to steam them. I need somebody to steam them, all of that stuff. And one of the models say, oh, come this way. There is a table back here. So I have another model walking with me and helping me with the luggage, and then the other one is getting us the table, right? As we get to this table, I put my little luggage on top of it and start unzipping it. Here comes a model, right? A male model. You guys know that I don't do clothing for men, right? When it comes to like the collection, I do sweaters and things like that. But he comes over and he's super loud, right? Very upset. And I'm just frozen there with the two girls that are helping me, the two models. So he's not modeling for me. That's the whole point that I said he's a male model. And he comes over, he said, "Can you believe he's so loud, right? Can you believe this? This person," I don't know if he's referring to me or one of my models, right? He's basically yelling at three women. We're just standing there like, is this really happening right now? He says, "You're acting like you didn't just put my stuff on the floor." And I look over and there is a bag on the floor. We didn't touch anything. I'm coming because they say there's a table back here that you can use to set up your stuff. I'm coming over because I got called. I didn't touch anybody's stuff. I don't know if the models did, but I didn't see them do it, right? I see a bag under the table, like near the table. This male model is going off on us, and we're just like looking at him like, "You're yelling at three women. Like, who raised this kid, right?" He's like, "This is why I get so upset. They're looking at me like they don't know anything." We look at him because we didn't know what, like, what are he talking about? We didn't touch anything, right? He grabs my luggage. Okay, this happened. He grabs my luggage that's already all the way probably unzipped completely. He drops it. He grabs it up and he dumps it on the floor. And I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, wow, I have never in my life experienced anything like that. Never, right? And I was like, this guy is coming to this fashion show, right? He's coming to the fashion show to model for designers. And he gets so upset like that. I mean, you're talking about a back room that a place that's already overcrowded, right? You're talking about a back room where you have a makeup artist over here doing their thing, right? There's not even enough room for them to do their thing. They're not complaining about anything, right? And you're talking about models changing on your other side, right? Just trying to get their outfits on. And then you have production like lining people up, like it's chaotic, right? And this man is gonna get upset because he came back and found his bag on the floor. His bag was not even open. I saw it in the corner right by the table. It wasn't even open. It was just sitting there on the floor. But he's gonna grab my luggage and dump it on the floor. Not only that, like the thing that happened is like, it's not like, oh, you just did that to a designer, you did this to somebody who's gonna present here. It's not even the point, but you're a guy yelling at three women because somebody moved your stuff. Like, you don't even see us do it. And you know those people when they argue, they like to turn around to get everybody's attention. That's exactly what he did. He wasn't even looking at us. He wasn't even looking at me. He was like, "See, this is why I get so upset." And then I saw him grab my luggage and just thump it on the floor. I was like, "Oh wow, this is definitely." It was so crazy because I didn't even know like how to react to something like that. And in that instant, the model said to me, "Let's go the other way." And she helped me get the luggage from the floor, zipped it back up, closed it up. Nothing fell out from it, and we went the other way, like from one corner to the complete opposite of that. And then we continued to do our thing, right? Um, like I said, if it was with me, everything that happened up to me, kind of like presenting the collection, I would have been walking away already, right? But it's gonna get to that point that the enemy, I already know, guys, we have to continue to fast and pray because the attacks are gonna be like that, and he's gonna use people close to us to do that. I don't understand how somebody can go from there was like models there talking, laughing, getting changing, all of that. He went from being happy to like completely 180 and basically yelling at three women in front of him and getting a suitcase and dumping it on the floor. Like, who does that? You a professional? Like, are you serious, right? I mean, even when I was like getting my models set up and I was steaming all of that, I had models come over and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, can I just grab something?" Like, it was just very cordial, right? but definitely something was going on with him. Probably, I don't even know, but definitely because of everything that I saw coming up to the show, when it came to my collection, all the spiritual warfare, the craziness, or you're not coming in here, nothing like this. It's the enemy. It's just, things like that we're gonna see more and more often, right? So after that happened, um, the feeling went great. Well, I kind of just worked with what I could, and did my best when it comes to that. And then, well, something did happen right before my show it was the second one to present. Right before Julissadesigns took over the presentation, they're like, okay, I think they announced Julissadesigns is up next, and I have production come to me and said, I they didn't come to me. I heard them talking. They said they're gonna shut down the building. Go and talk to them. They're gonna shut down the venue. Go and talk to them because they said they're gonna do it right now or something. And I was in that moment, I'm like, here we go again. My goodness, who is waiting for this collection, right? How is God using this collection to speak to somebody, right? And like I said, people can hear that and they think it's just nothing, because there's always somebody who wants to like who always wants to say, it's nothing special about it. It's just things that happen, things like that. All I know is that I know my purpose with everything that I do, right? And I know it's been so long too, also. And like I said, I have never experienced something like this before. And everything that has happened from last week, you know that more and more stuff is gonna happen, right? And it's just gonna happen. So that's a little brief. I'm looking at my time here. That's a little brief of what happened during the New Year Fashion Week. I had, you know, I have great photos. I'm gonna see if I can put photos on YouTube soon. I think I've been putting videos about it too and everything. So if you're interested to see the collection, you can go Julissa Designs on YouTube if you're listening in the podcast, or you can check out the Instagram page for Julissa Designs, right? Let me know, guys. Like I said, everything that happened last week is definitely there's this change happening. Or the only thing I can say is that we need to start praying for wisdom and guidance from the Lord, and because the big divide, the big separation is about to take place. I think it already began. It's very evident, very clearly. And also let us remember that um that was it that I was gonna say. Thank you guys so much for coming to the channel. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Have a good day.